There we are. Obligatory straightening of the hair. It's very windy in this part of Ireland. Good morning, everybody. How are you all keeping? I hope you're all keeping well. And life is being good to you in this November 2024 as it comes getting closer to Christmas now. Thanksgiving for you lot in America, and not far away, I don't think. And you know, I've been talking for a while now about this whole thing of a wave function collapse, of you know, that this sort of like pathological timeline trajectory that we've been on since 9/11, but it may have had its fleeting, beginnings during the JFK assassination, or maybe even the detonation of the atomic bomb, or even with the discovery of Pluto. I mean, there's lots. You could take it back further and further, but the fact is that it's self-evident. I mean, ever since Trump's election, Trump is a 1980s figure. He's a throwback. And I was watching, last night bits of the Mike Tyson fight. My God, what's more 1980s than Mike Tyson? And there he is, a guy nearly 59 years old in the ring, and he lasted the full bout, the whole fight. I mean, he lost, but he ran the whole course. That's remarkable. I have very strong memories of a friend of mine called Tony Verdi, an Italian-American guy, in his house in Queens. We were quite young at the time, early 20s. And he was playing, I think it was a Nintendo, or whatever the game console was back then, a Mike knockout game. And man, he loved that. And I was with him the day that he went to all these boxers until he eventually got to Mike Tyson, and usually got battered by Mike Tyson. And he beat Mike Tyson one day. I'll always forget that. He couldn't believe it. He was jumping up and down in his room, and it was really funny. And he was real Italian, like his parents are both from Sicily, and his mother could barely speak English. And very nice guy. And I have a very strong memory of that. And I think it was about 1988 that was. And, here we are again. And it's happening. We're definitely going back. The fact that Tyson didn't win is also indicative of the kind of trajectory. Because we're not going to go back to how the 1980s were exactly. We're going back to an energetic version of the world pre. Well, I think we're already starting to fall into it very quickly. That's what that sense of relief and liberation and clean. I feel clean ever since the American election. I have the sense of cleaning, and so I feel clean. The world feels cleaner, and he wasn't going to win because we're not exactly going back the way it was. It's still 2024 and beyond. It's just the 1980s energy has returned. So he was never going to win, I don't think. But the fact that he's there is part of the. Every punch that he threw in that fight was punching back the wave function. Was punching the wave function collapse down further to bring us back to where we were. And that's a beautiful thing when you think about it. And then you see things like how there's been fleeting, fluttering, markers and the return of vinyl. I see this album. There's movies now being released on VHS. Can you believe that? I think it's a new Mission Impossible album or film or something is coming out on VHS. And you have all the Hollywood stars and TV stars who became famous in the years since 2001, all fleeing Hollywood and fleeing, they're over. Their false world is over. And, lots of bands have decided to stop touring and stuff. And these are not the really old bands. I mean, these are bands that probably started up in the 2000s. It's definitely a collapse. And I saw a beautiful interview with Rick Wakeman from Yes. I don't like Yes, but I do like the stuff that he did with David Bowie and people like that. And I've always liked him when he's quite a well-known TV presenter, and he's an amazing musician. There's no doubt about that. But he was talking about like record shops could come back, but they could come back if they were if they had vinyl, CDs, and also downloads and burns onto CD and listening booths. And he said, no doubt about it, music shops could. And he was talking about the revival of, and he was saying to people, he said to the screen, if anyone out there has the money, open up a chain of record stores, album stores, selling vinyl, selling CDs, just like they used to be, like the old Tower record days, but with the added thing of also downloads and things like that. So you'd have everything. And he said something. He said what killed the music industry was they replaced everything with everything. So he said the CD has replaced the album. It wasn't, hand in hand. And then download replaced all the physical media. And that's been a failure, really. And he was talking about the ownership of physical matter as opposed to the ownership of a concept. And I was watching that Steve Bannon. I have a lot of time for that guy, Steve Bannon. Even though he's a Christian, he pushes the Christian thing big. He's a very wise man. And he constantly puts this thing that the globalists were constantly referring to America as an idea, And he goes, America's not an idea, America's a nation. And what he's talking about there is physical material, physical books, physical ownership, rather than having ideas that we, the whole thing of that you will own nothing and be happy. By the way, that's all in turmoil. That's all over now. That's why I'm not even thinking about it anymore. I don't care. That's over. That world is over. In fact, not giving it any attention will hasten its demise. But that's all done now. That's finished. The whole you alone and be happy. It's there's hindsight, and then there's also profundity at the same time. And you know what? The more I think about it, the more I think that the signaling of the change was that weird Willy Wonka event in Glasgow. Now you say to yourself, why is a shitty Willy Wonka, pageant in Glasgow in Scotland so important? I think because it grabbed all our attention. I think those of us with this kind of vision, this level of those of us that are not NPCs and normies, they are tribe-minded folk, and also people that are kind of sensitive and aware to things, who might not identify with being in the tribe. They looked at that Willy Wonka event, and particularly that poor girl who was the sort of Oompa Loompa barista, and they looked at that, and it was almost like we knew there was a significance to it. It was silly, yeah, it was stupid, but it shouldn't have got the global news impact that it did. By Jesus, did it? It was because those of us were seeing this is telling us something. There's something going on here. I gotta new my phone. My phone is literally on its last leg. Look how wide I am now. I'm like that painting, The Reverend by Andrew Wyatt. Oh, there we go. But you get your art lessons on here too. But it's that Willy Wonka thing. We looked at that and we said, this means something. This means something. And what we were seeing was the world if the secretive knowns had have won. It was indicative of the only world that they were offering. I like this godlike vision of me. Woo. It was the only world that they were offering was that. And I think subconsciously it stuck into that the gods or the universe and it whipped that thing up to show this shitty Willy Wonka event is literally the embodiment of you will own nothing and you'll be happy. And then people saw it and they were unhappy. And that was it. Everything fake, shitty, and broken. And, communism, nothing, everything is shit. Everything is crap. And that's what they saw. That's what they saw. And it was almost like that was the heralding of where we are now. And all the other things in between, like the bullet, dodging Trump. I'll never get over that as long as I live. I was watching some other stuff on that recently, and it was just like, yeah, a poor man died behind him, and some other people were very horribly injured. but it's still incredible. The gods save you. The gods intervened. There's no doubt about that. It was a supernatural force. And what does that tell us now? Well, and even by the reaction of like these women shaving their heads, which is just bizarre to me, and all the sort of carry on. Eva Longoria, the actress that was in Desperate Housewives, I used to quite fancy her. And to hear the shit coming out, I've left America because it's a dystopian regime. I mean, Jesus Christ! Yeah, well, try move to an Islamic country and see how much of it you can get away with the Desperate Housewife. Look, carry on there. And I would wager now that the United States is without a doubt probably the freest nation on earth right now. Since the election of Trump, it's probably the freest nation on earth. And these people want their idea of dystopia is is liberty, is freedom, is to be left alone. And these people are completely insane. You know, and it's like then this is what they wanted, the barista, the Oompa Loompa barista from the Willy Wonka event in Glasgow. And isn't Trump's family from Scotland as well? So that's kind of an interesting link as well. Everywhere there's connections. When you read in these things, like I was watching. There was a TV show when I was a kid called Connections on the BBC by James Burke, hosted by James Burke. He was like a philosopher, writer. I don't know what he is, but these TV shows are phenomenal. They were now. I was only a little kid. I was probably 10, 9, 8 when they were on. But even at that age, these shows, which were predominantly science based, were like the Carl Sagan Cosmos thing. They were magical. There was something magical about them. You've probably seen the famous clip where it says the greatest TV take on Earth, where he's walking in front of a Saturn V rocket, and he goes, "You mix hydrogen and oxygen, and you get this." And just as he points to the rocket across in Cape Canaveral, Cape Kennedy, the rocket takes off. The rocket fires its motors, ignition. It's called the greatest ever take in television. And so that was connection. So that was part of the magic of it. But I watched episode 1. I started watching episode 1. And episode 1, it's all about how certain things would happen in history that lead to other things. So it's very much in what people like us in the tribe think about. It's kind of like a mainstream version of the kind of synchronistic connections, mysticism that we've been talking about here on my channel and people like me for years now. And the first episode was about the massive power failure that happened in 1966 in Manhattan, New York. What happened was the Con Edison power station at Niagara Falls, and it might have been the Tesla one, I don't know. There's a tiny relay at the top of the turbine had failed, and all the power in New York State all the way down out to Manhattan and Long Island had failed. So millions and millions of people suddenly plunged in the darkness. Everything failed, including the New York subway system. Now, the TV show started with him taking an elevator to go see it, Connections, episode 1 with James Burke, to the top of the World Trade Center. And he's at the top of the World Trade Center, talking about the Manhattan, and how we kind of live in a technological trap, and if something goes wrong with that technology, we're suddenly plunged into a different reality almost. So he starts it on the World Trade Center. And then he talks about individual stories of what are going on, about a woman who was having her birthday party. They threw an impromptu birthday party in the darkness for her in the subway because she couldn't get to home for her family. And it's a sweet story like that, but it also showed a Scandinavian Airlines plane that was coming to land in Manhattan, was taxiing around into JFK, was taxiing around Manhattan, and everything went down. The whole system went down, plunged into darkness, and they were flying completely blind. And they had to make a sudden swerve to avoid crashing into the World Trade Center. Do you know what the number of the flight was? Scandinavian flight 911. I had chills when I saw that. That was made in 1975. Go back and watch if you don't believe me. It's one of these things that punches holes in reality, that tells us that this is not It was one of the, and it's the fact that I'd go back to watch that show after what happened in America with the elections shows it was almost like that whole synchronistic thing from the universe. Here's a synchronicity from your childhood that you probably saw when you were 8 or 9 or 10 and you missed it. Here it is for you now. And why? Because in this wave function collapse, this post 9/11 wave function collapse, we're going to give it to you now. And you tell me that we live in an ordinary world, that we live in a mundane, boring world. I mean, oh, by the way, thank you for your great support on the new podcast. Not quite the witching hour the other night. I'll do another one or two next week. I'm still a little uncomfortable with the format. I'm not as I'm much more comfortable like this because I'm kind of an informal person. I mean, I know I do big talks in front of large audiences and stuff, but I'm very much a kind of fella you have a conversation with in a pub or in a cafe. That's my archetype. So I'm still working on that one. I'll get it better. I know there's problems with the sound. It needs a bit more bass and stuff, but that's episode 1, learning curve, and that kind of thing. But thank you for all your lovely support and that. It's had like over 8,000 views in 24 hours, which is, really super. I wasn't even expecting like 1 or 2,000. So hopefully it shows. It seems to be making an impact for people, and it's time. It's part of the new way, the Depeche Mode, as they say, and this soft transition. I'm now convinced more than ever that the secret unknowns are not human, and they're not human. And this is why what we're seeing with those, you see some of those girls screaming at the camera. They're demonically possessed. Of course, some of them, are not well, but there's men too doing it. But some of them have underlying problems, and they just use the result of the U.S. election to event. But there's other people there that were definitely demon possessed, and that's what all these other crazies are all at. The demons when the demons abandon you, when someone's demonically possessed, there's no kind of like thanks for the memory kind of thing. It's a complete vacancy. They completely leave. So the likes of Phil, even if Trump, the worst was to happen and Trump was to be assassinated tomorrow, we're still heading back to the old pre 9/11 wave function, because it's that result, that election result was enough. That was enough. That was it. It doesn't matter what happens. It's irrelevant. That's why some people going on about Trump's cabinet positions and stuff. It's all irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Think about the bigger things, the cultural things, the psychological things, the social things, the personal things, the psychological, the whole thing, the psychic things. Think of it in terms like that. Be that way about it. And I still have the chat on, just to show you that this is a new era. I might even kind of put my glass on and see them. I can read the chat now. And let me see anything. I watched a woman have Trump derangement syndrome when she was like a banshee, and her eyes were jet black. I saw that one too, Aurora Storm. I saw that one too. This is kind of fun. Let's have an open chat. Yeah, like, and it's like how these people cannot embrace change. Hi, Karen. And Chase, embrace thing. First wave, second wave, dump storm. Second wave of dump storm. I guess Steve doesn't really like what's going on. Vicky from New Zealand. I like the way you spell Vicky, V-I-C-I. Hey, Vicky. They're addicted to seething, never again. That's absolutely true. There's a lot of truth to that. They're addicted to rage. Yeah, and that's another thing. Do you remember that film, 28 Days Later? That was the name of the disease, rage. Hi, Teresa. Love the new series, Thomas. Thanks again. Thank you. Your name disappeared before. Ballinarrobe. I like Ballinarrobe. It's a nice town. It has a lovely old-fashioned vibe to it, John. Yeah, these are just a cheap pair of glasses, but they're working good for this. 437 online. Wow, great. For a Saturday morning. Not too many hangovers out there, I guess. Not too many hangovers. I'm reading this fascinating book by John Michael Greer about Pluto. I read it before, but I'm reading it again about how, like, Pluto, the planet Pluto, has affected the world. Hi, Patrick. Uh, Collinstown. Hey, my buddy's up there in Collinstown, County Westmeath, a beautiful part of Ireland. Liverpool in the house, council watchers. Yeah. La. Everyone knows I love Liverpool. Clonmel, hello for you, Thomas. Hello, Clonmel. Your names are flying fast now, so I think that was Noel. God, we're all over Ireland here, Leicestershire. Coming in from everywhere, guys. Global English. Oh, there's my buddy in Bally. She loves the new show. Like that picture of you with your muscles working out. You look great in it. Kildare. Somerset. Hello, hi, Thomas from Somerset. Lovely part of the world. Belfast, Northumberland. Killarney. A lot of paddies around today. East Texas. Tala, straight out of Tala. Clondalkin. Hey, Fiona. Cider, drink. I am. When I was in Glastonbury, I was just talking with the people there how dirty that song is, you know. I've got a brand new combine harvester. I drove my tractor through her haystack last night. Ooh, ar, ooh, ar. I mean, that's really dirty, and that was in the charts. Do you remember, like, Working on a Sex Farm by Spinal Tap? That was like literally the Wurzels version. East London, USA, the Wurzels, yeah. That's what the Mumfords and Sons were, the Trust Fund Wurzels. Florida, Australia. I saw the Wurzels live, and they're absolutely fantastic. They're kind of like the English version of the West Country version of the what you call them, the Wolf Tones. Dunboyne. A Dickens cider. No, I've never had that. County Durham, Yorkshire. All the people in North America are in bed up all night watching the Stonehenge. Hey, cool. Chelmsford. The Isle of Bute. Wow, that's interesting. Limavady. Big Bottom. Yeah, it's hilarious. Old Buxom's, that is. Indonesia. Wow. Leicester. Basingstoke. Joke. Bedfordshire. West London. County Tyrone. That's from Northern Ireland. Big following up in Northern Ireland. Dorset. France. Cool. Ontario as a North American. Port Louth. God, I used to think I had no paddies following me, but now they seem to all be here. Yeah, how can you leave that behind? Yeah. Big bottom. Talk about mud flaps. My girl's got 'em. Lincolnshire. Yeah, Katie Taylor. She's a remarkable young woman that she seems to be indestructible in the boxing ring. British Columbia, well, way over there. Gurchi, and not too far away. County Durham, North Wales, Bradford, Falkirk Triangle. Yeah, very interesting. Finland. That's catchy, is it? Yeah. Uh, People are still sleeping in the US. We had a full moon. Yeah, there was. I got trouble. I've been having lots of trouble sleeping lately. Sydney, hey! I've been having Los Angeles, cool. I've been having lots of trouble sleeping. I have this burst of energy at like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. And I don't know what that's about. The Wirral near Liverpool, and it's really weird. It's really weird. I said Sean Clark. I thought that said Steve Clark. He's the guy from Def Leppard. He's dead. From the pool. Hello. Insomnia Central here. Yeah, if you're up in North America, you probably are. Kinsale, beautiful place. I got some good footage of the fort down there, the Star Fort. I want to make a documentary about the hauntings and everything there. If pictures of the moon, yeah, you can email me if they're interesting. I better be of the moon and not of your arse. You too, Dave. Have a great day. Charlestown, County Mayo, very close to where I'm from. Well, where I am now, where I've been for a long time. In America. Stuart Clark, I think it says, yeah, Stuart. And that's another one of the rave function collapse. There's a Spinal Tap film coming out. How about that? There's a spine. So that's another part of the thing, you know, another part of the thingy. Questions with the new show. Is there any particular people you'd like me to interview or topics you'd like me to talk about? You can put them on the screen here. Uncle Tommy, New Englander, smell the glow. Ashbourne, yeah, Sligo's an amazing place. Buffalo. Have I seen the yellow sign? Well, that's isn't that what the what you call the all this the safety jackets are? Neil Oliver wouldn't come on my show. He's much too big. I'm a nobody. I mean, I really like Neil Oliver. The gin, yeah, well, that's all. It's going to be a recurring theme. That one, you can be guaranteed for that. But Alan Watt, well, the man is dead, so I kind of can't have him on unless I do a séance. Mark Devlin, yeah, I know Mark Devlin. He's a musical truth thing. I met him a few times. Yeah, I met Mark a couple of times. John Waters, yeah, I'd love John Michael Gear be great, yeah. Simon from History Bunk, I like it. You're hitting all. I was talking to Dave the other day. You're hitting all the right. You're hitting all the right things here. I don't know who David. Who's that? Clues. I don't know who that man is. Rich D Hall, poor guy. Feel sorry. I wouldn't. Don't know who Mark Windows is. Anthony, Greg Moffat, Anthony Pig. Some, yeah, but I mean, I know these great people are all great, and some of them lots of them are friends of mine. Somebody different. Cliff High. Don't know about that one. You'd be telling me the Angry Bootneck. Who's? Oh, that's I know that guy. Yeah, he's an English guy. I'm trying to stay away. Yeah, he's good though. But I'm trying to stay in politics. CERN. Brian Cox. Patronising me. There's a show called The Bunker Bunked, if you haven't seen it. And it's about Choctaw Nation. Hello, Choctaw Nation. And it's about God. It's about these like people attack Graham Hancock and his Mary Drummond, historical revisionist, and he read debunks them again. He read debunks them again. David Max Savage, he's from RT, isn't he? I don't know. But yeah. But I want to have that engineer, Colin, the guy from England, back on. I want to have him on again and a few other people because we didn't really finish the talk in full. Well, I won't be doing interviews for a while, yeah, or talks. It'll be me. I want to get my. Chris is sailing. Is Chris Trowell is. I was talking to him. I met him up in there in England back during the summer. He's rowing across the Atlantic for charity or something. Unbelievable. I mean, yeah, amazing. Thank you very much, Sarah. Oh, Sarah, how you? Sarah's up. You weren't watching the boxing last night, then. Oh, I haven't watched your interview with Ilona yet, but I will. I haven't seen it yet. I just came up with my recommendations today. I was talking to Aidan the other day there too as well. Yeah. So it's I'm getting a bit of a headache from these glasses, but thanks for all that. Oh, Phil Hine, he'd be hard to get though, wouldn't he? You see, I don't take myself. You see, the problem is, because I don't take myself very seriously, even though I'm a very serious person. Underneath all the laughing and joking and the Barry Drewmores and the Anto and Decos, I am a very studious, intense person in terms of my studying, researching, and all reading and all that stuff. But I think a lot of people don't take me seriously because I do the joking thing. Now, a lot of reason I do the joking thing is protection. It's a kind of a gestercraft thing. It protects me from the mainstream, and particularly during the Rona, it when I was doing the Rona Chronicles, the Irish Times had a go at me, but they didn't mention my name because they knew that if people were to come onto my YouTube channel, they played my voice though on the thing. If they come on my YouTube channel, they'd hear the jokes and everything and say, "Oh, he's all right. He's not so bad." You see, and that's how I am. I've no time for terribly serious truthers. I've no time for terribly serious researchers. I don't trust people like that. I don't trust people who are too driven. I mean, I don't trust that. I think one of the reasons we like Gandalf so much in Lord of the Rings is, Gandalf's a wizard and almost like a godlike creature. He's not even a human. He still has these very human traits and sense of humor. And he said, senses of humor. I used to work with an Indian guy and he used to go, "You have very good senses of humor, Thomas." Senses of humor, he used to say. And yeah, that's Gandalf's appeal is because even though he's a wizard and a great scholar, he's not even human. He has this human sense of, you know, of fun. He has fun. He's very human in his mannerisms. And in terms, he doesn't take himself. He's a powerful wizard, but he doesn't take him. He doesn't walk around like you see Saruman. You know, he lives in the tower at Isengard, and he's terribly serious. But Gandalf isn't like that. He hangs around with the hobbits. He goes for a beer. You know, that kind of thing. You know, he hangs out in the pub with the hobbits and that kind of thing. There's something very appealing about that. But as a result, you're not taken seriously, and it's a good thing and a bad thing because there are people that I would like to have intellectual discussions with that they probably wouldn't say, "Well, he's just a guy that's funny voices and stuff like that and rants in a car and this kind of thing." So that's always it's a handicap and a great protection as well. But it's also it guarantees I get the right kind of people because the people that follow my work are generally holistic people. I don't get these kinds of people who are like, they're terribly serious about things and you have to maintain this sense of darkness about you all the time. I don't want those people in my life because they carry a lot of darkness with them. So they're people who can still understand that, when I'm arsing around, that's a part of my character, but doesn't affect the other side. I'm like very much in that sense. Yeah, because I can't help being Irish, and that's my nature. I'm culturally very Irish. So yeah, so and I've had a lot of life experiences that have been very funny. Like Barry Drummer is based on a real person, and I can't remember his name, but he had a friend that he fell out with called Catfish, and I was working in Alabama, and there was a guy down there, and he was just like Barry Drummond, and he was a really nice and decent. He'd been married like 7 times, and he was like, I'm not even 40 or something like crazy, and he was a really decent guy, but his religion was too powerful. His Christianity, it was robbing him of the full experience of life. So he would like he couldn't. You could see how it was holding him back. He'd like, no, no, I'm a church guy. I'm Bible reading man, Thomas. I'm Bible reading man. He used to say that, and he used to say like, but he told me lovely stories about the South and stuff like that. When I was a boy growing up in Alabama, it was beautiful, and then TV and air conditioning came along, and he wasn't a racist or a big, quite the opposite. Some of his friends were as black as like, you know, the frames of my glasses, and but you could see like how the Christianity thing was holding him back because he was taking it far too literally, and that's where Barry Drummer came from, and he was telling me a story about his friend Catfish, who had been arrested because he had been drinking, and he wanted to go for a piss, and somewhere in Birmingham, Alabama, or it might have been Selma, Mississippi. I can't remember when I was down that part of the world. And he went down a side alleyway to take a piss somewhere. It wasn't Selma, Mississippi, because he was going to visit someone there. And that's a rough place anyway. And he was taking a piss down an alleyway. And just by million to one chance the cops came around the corner, and he was he was arrested and charged with urinating in public. And the guy that Barry Drumore was based on was saying that Catfish, he was urinating in public. He was urinating in public, Thomas, because he was drinking. I stopped my drinking and drugging years ago. I get my kicks from Jesus now, Thomas. I get my kicks from the Bible, from Scripture. Scripture, as we say, it's a Scripture like that. And I was roaring laughing, but at the same time I was like, would he go to jail for that? And they go, oh no, they give him a fine, and he go on his record, this kind of, you get his name in the paper, and you look like a fool, like a Catfish is a fool. And he says, I was laughing and laughing, and I was saying, the way he was telling me the story, so he gets out of the car, gets out of the truck, and he had to go take a pee, and he went down the alleyway, and he took out his yin yang, and he was doing the pee, and like a million to one times, the Catfish was taking a pee, and the truck came around the corner. You always repeat like that. You see, I'm a very good observer of these kind of people. He goes, when I do Barry German, so the cops came around the corner. Like, that's how instead of an exclamation mark. And he goes, and that was it. He was in real trouble then. Real trouble. And I say, is there a fine for that? And he goes, did I pee in the streets in Ireland? And I go, well, yeah, sometimes real estate like that, you probably would go down an alleyway and try and find it. But if a copper saw you, once you weren't doing it in broad daylight, or he'd probably just give you a warning. Yeah, but this is all drinking and drugging. As if Catfish wasn't drinking and drugging, he wouldn't have been in the trouble he is, because the Lord, you were punished for it. You're punished for it. That's what he was like, Junior. That was the name of his black friend. I always remember that. He had a black friend called Junior who wore this huge baseball cap, a tall, skinny black guy. And I used to tell Junior dirty jokes, and he would be screaming, laughing, right? And we went one time on a Friday. We'd all got beer to drink on the building site, on the construction site, and I got Heineken, and they were all drinking Coors Light, shit like that, Bud Light. Catfish was drinking iced tea, and tea. I'm a large tea, sweet tea. And he was like, he goes, Tommy. No, he's Thomas, what? I can't do the black man southern voice. He goes, well, you're drinking that Heineken stuff. What's it like? I was like, you never tasted Heineken? It was like really exotic to him. All drinking Bud Light, all the piss Bud Light and Miller Light and stuff like that. But yeah, so the Catfish is based on a real person. And the whole character, this is him telling me the story. No, Barry Drumore's based on a real person. So is Catfish. And the whole thing I do this is him telling me about Catfish when he was caught taking a piss in Selma, Mississippi. And it was like, as I was watching it was happening in front of me, I was like, that's a movie. So it kind of became a movie that plays in my head. So it's like an archetype. He represents an archetype. He represents an archetype of people that, as my paganism became more entrenched, I realized that he's actually damaging himself with his strict adherence to Christianity. That if he had a more laid-back approach, and there was a girl called Brandy who used to work in this pizza place we used to go to, and she was like Daisy May, absolutely beautiful, and I can remember him looking at her and going like and saying to him, God, she's wow. And the black guy Junior go, oh yeah, like this kind of thing. She like hot pants and everything. And how y'all doing? And she was like in her early 20s. Oh, absolute dish. And yeah. And Barry be like, he'd be the type that would marry her when he was younger. And it wouldn't work out. And it wouldn't work out because it was Bible thing. He'd be like strict. He wouldn't, we're going to read Bible tonight. And it was like, And I always think he's the archetype. As my paganism grew, I realized that the strict adherence to any Abrahamic religion causes damage. You've got to be. Oh, and why her name popped into my head? I was the first Catholic she ever met, and she never met Catholics until she met me. Because someone had joked and says, "No, he don't go to church. He's a Catholic. He's not Christian. He's a Catholic." But seriously, not even a joke. But yeah, so he's a character that came into my head, and it's funny. He's remained so strong, and so I can see his face so clearly. I can see the clothes he wears, and I'm constantly chain smoking Newports. Unbelievable chain smoker. Yeah, but that's where Barry came from. Anyway, I don't know how I got on the tangent. Oh yeah, people don't take me seriously, but even Barry Drumore to me is a very serious thing, even though it's a joke. The satire behind him represents the intensity of Islam taking over people's lives. I've got to go do some stuff now. So, have a beautiful weekend. I will see you on the next witching hour. And I haven't been much on Facebook lately. I haven't had time to do things like that. I missed out on a lot. If I missed out on any videos you've made, I'm sorry. Blah blah blah. And continue to collapse that wave function. Sanguine gnosis as ever. Love yous all, you lovely, gorgeous bastards, you. Big bottom, talk about mud flaps, my girls.